The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. Big news. You're signed to the PFL. It must be very exciting, especially with, only a few fights in your pro career to be signed to a major promotion. Just tell us your emotions of just getting that pen to paper.
Yeah, it still feels unreal, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if it's gonna feel real until I walk into that cage. Um, I feel really grateful though. I only have a few fights, but I've been full time 5 years now. Um, Tons of BJJ fights, tons of tournaments. So it feels like it's time. I'm ready for the big stage. I'm just so excited and so grateful for the opportunity.
When did you feel like you were ready? Like, was there a moment it clicked for you? Like, I'm ready for the best fighters in the world.
I think after my last fight, I I felt like I was ready for something bigger because I was just walking through these girls. So I want that challenge. I want that hard fight. I want to have to brawl and bang. Um, and I'm ready for that. And I think after the first three that were kind of just not walks in the park, all respect, but I'm ready for harder opponents.
Yeah, one thing I noticed is that Tapology doesn't have all your fights. You do actually have 3 fights as a professional. They only have 2 of them. Did you ever reach out to them and tell them like, "Hey, I got another fight. You guys should put it up on there."
Yeah, my manager and I reached out. Sure Dogs updated.
Oh, cool.
Tapology. Once I signed with PFL, we're like, okay, we'll handle that after. They'll obviously
Okay.
help. Yeah, you never know with these things. You see fighters with different records, and you don't know if it's true
Yeah.
or there's more or less. You never know.
Yeah, you were at AKA Thailand for a little while, and I forgot his name, but there was that huge controversy of one of the guys that used to fight there, or he used to train there. What was his name? But his record was like 25-8. But really,
Ah,
they did. You remember?
Oscar.
Yeah, Oscar. Yes, Oscar.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
It's a prime example.
So yeah, he's in Phuket. He trains in Phuket. Like I said, only
You
he and
never
God
know.
knows. You know,
Yeah,
I
you only know. You
yeah.
only know. So, yeah, let's start with I think the first time I saw you was when you were training at AKA Thailand. Is that where you started your MMA career or your MMA journey?
Yeah, that's where I started really 100%. Really, like I found my love for jujitsu there with
Mhm.
the then coach Marcio Caesar,
Yeah.
who's gone on to open his own gym, and most of the team, including myself, followed.
Mhm.
So that kind of started the love for BJJ. I never expected to be in MMA, to be honest. But then just my style in BJJ lends itself more aggressive and
Mhm.
my coach Marcio said, "Why don't we try?" And there's really nothing like that feeling of being in the ring, and it just hooked me after that first fight. So
Yeah, Marcio, he's a great coach, phenomenal BJJ. Yeah, I've seen him fight a few times. And is he still gonna fight? You think? You think he shut the door?
I think his focus now is on coaching and
Mhm.
building like his team of killers, and
Mhm.
it's a lot of work opening the gym here in Phuket, and
Yeah.
it he wouldn't have the time
Mhm.
to dedicate himself to a fight camp, but he could. He's still a monster.
Yeah, 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 he is. And when I was there, I think late last year, he told me that you were like I should speak with you. He actually told me when I was at Nova Uniao in Phuket. He told me to speak. You were in Pattaya training. Talk about going to
Mm,
Pattaya training. What
yeah,
you were boxing? What were you doing?
no. So their older BJJ coach, DJ Jackson, is a friend of mine. We actually
Okay.
met in Worlds, BJJ Worlds in Abu Dhabi. So when Stamp Fairtex started her run for the atom weight Grand Prix belt, he
Mhm.
asked me to come down and help with her grappling.
Okay.
So it kind of was a good situation because COVID was still shutting everything down in Phuket. So it was like a good time for me to go there while things were shut down here. I got to help her. I got to work on my stand up because their Fairtex is very famous for their
Yeah.
Muay Thai. Um, and so I actually ended up doing all of Stamp's camps for all of her Grand Prix run, which she won.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
she armbarred Ritu like it was.
Yeah.
I was screaming like BJJ for life, I was going nuts. So I did that, and then when things started picking back up here and we could open again, I came back to Marcio at Novo Uniao in Phuket.
Nice, nice. Yeah, Novo Uniao Phuket. It's still a growing gym, but it seems like you guys have a decent group of fighters there. How has it been growing the team from the start? You know, because you've been there from the beginning.
Yeah, wow. I mean, through like construction, we totally remodeled the gym from its bones. Even during COVID, we're like sneaking in the back trying to train.
Of course.
And a lot of guys who know and trained with Marcio followed him there. So we have a lot of our OG group, our old school group, and then guys that come in. They seek out the more famous gyms on the street, and a lot of times it doesn't fit what they need. So we're more of a niche family style gym, and they come to us and they don't leave. So
Yeah.
it's good. We're growing, and it's like a real fight gym. If
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
fight,
There's
easy.
the growth of MMA and jujitsu and the gyms, even coming out of COVID. It's nuts. Phuket's even bigger. Like
Yeah,
I don't think anybody expected that.
yeah. I mean, you watch UFC, PFL, every big promotion. You hear Phuket. You hear one of the gyms from this area. It's outside of like Vegas. I think it's a hotbed, really.
Yeah, it is. Well, outside of the U.S., it's one of the biggest hotbeds. I think the biggest
Yeah,
hotbed in Asia, definitely.
for sure.
Let's rewind a little bit back to your pro debut in 2019. You got a third round TKO, I believe, ground and pound finish. You were in the mount, but you traveled all the way to China, and I always get unusual stories from China. You know, what I mean, traveling out there, and you went out there for your debut. Talk about that.
It was an experience. I had never been to China before. Um, we had a last minute opponent change when I had already arrived, so it was a bit of a, um, getting the right food was difficult. Sauning the last weight off was. We were walking like it was freezing. We were walking to some sauna, and my coach sat outside for like 4 hours because the sauna wasn't hot enough. It was a very cool experience, to say the least.
Yeah.
But the production value was great. I definitely was not the favorite of the crowd. So when I won, silence, just me and
Yeah.
Marcel. But it's cool to fight internationally. It's nice to see how MMA is handled and the production in different countries. I love the experience.
Yeah, you get to go through the adversity too, which is always good to
Yeah.
experience that, right?
It seems like I'm always the underdog or the or not the home favorite. So
Yeah,
I thrive off of it, honestly.
yeah. That's the burden of being an American in on this side of the world, right?
Yeah, yeah, which understandably.
Yeah, for sure. Now after that, pretty much the pandemic hit. So how was handling life over here? You know, you're all the way across the world. Your family's in the U.S. People are flipping out, right? Like thinking like the world's gonna end. And what
Yeah.
what were you like? What was your status during that whole time?
Yeah, it was unfortunate because everything I won worlds, I did my pro debut, was on the up, and then poof, COVID crashed everything. Um, I was honestly happy to be stuck in Thailand for this time because it's a good lifestyle here. The weather's okay, it's cheap. But then as it came 6 months, 1 year, and other countries were opening up, we were still very much locked down here. Um, Thailand kept it safe, kept their people safe, have to appreciate everything they were doing. But I started seeing other fighters start lifting off again. So it was more hard mentally. We were trying to train where we could. We go outside, or people would buy these little foam like kindergarten mats and put them in their house. We're trying to keep up, but the mindset, I think, was the hardest part. And it got to a point where I said, maybe this isn't going to happen for me. Maybe I need to focus on BJJ again, get my black belt, go to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, where they're hiring teachers. But then things started rolling again, and here we are.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. Yeah, there's a lot of fighters that went through that exact same
Yeah.
situation, right? Of just like, should I go back home? And a lot of fighters did, right? It kind of became a
Yeah.
ghost town a little bit on the street.
Oh my gosh, wow, you would ride your scooter, and I mean, it looked like a zombie movie. No one was out. Places were shut down, shattered up. It was wild to see, really. But I'm happy I stuck around.
Yeah. A lot of people advanced their skill set tremendously during that time, especially when it started opening up a little bit. You could travel within Thailand. Like you said, you went to Pattaya and got working with Stan Fairtex. So you returned after that, in Spartacus. Was that in Bangla Stadium, right? That was inside Bangla Stadium?
Yeah, in Patong here.
Yeah, in Patong, right? How was after such a long layoff, you had a good performance in your debut and such a long layoff, but you got the quick finish, rear naked choke. What did you feel about the performance?
Yeah, so I was much more nervous than I showed, because it was like, okay, this is where I'm gonna see if I can still do this. But once you get in there, it's like tunnel vision. You don't hear anything, you don't think about anything else. And I felt one of her leg kicks. I said, "Oh, I don't like that." So I just pulled her down. I was like, "Let's finish this quick. I want to go home." And it just sparked that like love of being in the cage again. So it was exactly what I needed.
And then a couple months later, you fought again for Fairtex and got a first round submission in that fight as well. Which fight do you feel like was the toughest out of the three?
I think mentally, I think it was my second fight, just because of that long layoff we talked about, and COVID, and the mindset. In terms of like skill set, I think it was that first fight. I see now she has gone on. She has a great record. She's almost undefeated outside of me. So she also has progressed in COVID, and she's a great fighter. So I would even return to see where we both developed.
Yeah, you always hold that victory, you know what I mean? Like, do you
Yeah,
gain a lot of confidence from that? You know what I mean? I think you should, like, since you see where they go from the point where you beat them.
yeah. That's testament to what you were saying earlier of like, when did I feel like I was ready for a next level? Um, because of exactly this. I'm very confident in my ground game. I believe no one has the pressure I have on the ground. So, I see girls really thriving, but with me, they struggle. So I'm ready, man.
Yeah. And PFL, you get on the biggest card of the year as well, which is great, you know what I mean, for the PFL. And you're gonna face Dakota Ditcheva, which she is like the hype. Like, there's a hype around her, right? That's why they signed her and they're promoting her. And you said earlier, like, it almost seems like every fight you take, you're the underdog. You're not the favorite, even though you're American. You're gonna fly back to the States and fight in New York City. It's stacked against you, right? So what do you think of Dakota and what she's done so far? Because she's still early in her career as an MMA fighter as well.
Yeah, of course. I respect her Muay Thai. I respect her record. There's definitely a lot of hype around here. They're definitely promoting her. She's, long, tall, beautiful blonde, but I don't believe she's ever been dragged into deep waters before. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And so, people have been telling me my whole life, my whole career, "Oh, maybe you can't, underdog." And I thrive off of it. I live it. Like, I love to crush dreams. So let's go.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to be in a position you want to be in, you know what I mean? And you thrive off that position because eventually you're going to win so many times that now you're not going to be an underdog anymore, right? When are you going to do it? It's like that. Like you're the favorite. They're like, you have to
True.
win.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. But right now, I like to be underestimated.
How was the camp in Phuket? How long have you been in camp for this? Have you known about this fight for a while?
So, I've had a good amount of time for this camp, probably like a solid 6 to 8 weeks. We were talking with PFL for a little bit. There was nothing set in stone, but I had an idea. So the minute I had an idea, the switch turned like, all right, let's get this. And Marcio is a big proponent of always staying ready. So if you get that call, like Spartacus and Fairtex were both last minute fights. If you get the call, you're ready. So we like to stay in that mindset. But I'm fortunate enough that I have had a good chunk of time for this camp to really focus on what I need to do.
Yeah, it's a extremely important fight, and you get to fight in Madison Square Garden. Did you ever dream of that,
bro? Like, honestly, I didn't realize this was the card until they published it. So when everyone else found out, my coach sent it to me like, Kate, ... And I looked at it, I said, oh, okay, so this is what we're doing. It's incredible, especially coming from the US and coming from Philadelphia, which is a big like boxing hub. Muhammad Ali fought there. Yeah. It's incredible. And like I said, it's unreal. I'm grateful. I can't believe it, bro.
How about the family? Are they going to drive up there? It's not that too far of a drive, is it?
For sure. No, my family is based in the Philadelphia area, so it's like 2 hours. My mom will be there for sure. She's never seen me fight though. So I don't know how she's gonna take that and the atmosphere, but she's gonna learn.
Yeah. It's a big moment. It's great to see everything working out, especially how much you have sacrificed. I know a lot of people that were in Phuket. They sacrificed a lot because they stayed there, and you're reaping the benefits of it. So, 2 undefeated fighters. A lot of hype around the fight. What type of performance are you expecting from yourself in your debut, your PFL debut?
I'm expecting it to be a hard fight. I'm expecting it to be everything the hype is saying. I'm just ready to show. That's it. I'm more of a work in silence. Let the work show for itself. So November, everybody will see.
All right. November 25th, PFL 2022 Championships, New York City, Madison Square Garden. If you want to know more about the event, go to the description and download the AllStar app. Katherine, thank you so much for the time, and safe travels all the way to New York City, and all the best in the fight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.